Groovy.
Yo, what is going on, my fellow degenerates? It's your bro Rob. You are watching the Bitty Beer Bro Show, and today I wanted to talk to you about disappointment, as there may be no feeling worse than cracking the seal on a brand new game, popping the disc into the tray, only to be left questioning your purchase. So on today's episode, I will be counting down my top picks for the Xbox 360 games that left me thoroughly underwhelmed. Let's go! First up is Halo 4. How do you mess up Halo? I really don't know, but somehow 343's first try at nailing the Halo experience just felt off to me. It wasn't bad by any means, but it was just so goddamn meh. Sure, the Chief and Katana story was well told, but just about everything else was extremely lacking. Somehow, the magic that had made the Chief's previous entries infinitely replayable was gone, and what we was left with was a so-so shooter with bland AF enemies, an awful new art direction, and gameplay that borrowed way too heavily from Call of Duty.
Breakfast beer.
Alone in the dark. Nice fire effects. That's it. That's all this game has going for it. Ooh, look, fire. Fire here. Fire there. That enemy's got fire in their hair. Who cares about scares when there's fire everywhere? I brought this new, so that was 40 quid up in smoke, wasn't it?
I'll just have a cup of coffee.
There it is.
Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts isn't a bad game. It's actually pretty fun if you let it be, and is honestly kind of beautiful, but it makes this list because it's not what any of us wanted. No, Rare and Microsoft, we didn't want a vehicle building adventure, we wanted Banjo 3, a classic 3D platformer bolstered by the power of the 360. I mean, in the game, the first level alone does tease a classic Banjo adventure, but that was a lie, a big fat lie. And yet, here we are, 2 consoles later, and you're still too brain dead to give the fans the Banjo we want. Moving on.
Would you kindly get this? Would you kindly find...
Next up is BioShock Infinite. I'll probably get some hate for this one, but I don't like BioShock Infinite. I wanted to. I really did. I kept telling myself, this is great. It's BioShock, in the clouds. Woo! But after finishing it, I just felt empty. Like, is that it? I don't know. I think for me personally, taking away the horror-esque elements of the previous entries and replacing the mystery-filled, claustrophobic and visually distinct hallways of Rapture with the pretty linear, overtly bright and pretty bland floating towns of Columbia just stripped away what made BioShock the captivating experience it was.
Right. Whose round is it? Yours. What, again?
Brink. Brink hooked me in with its incredibly unique, over-exaggerated art style and gameplay promises of intense freedom and speed mixed with all-out action gunfights. However, what I got was a game with little to no story and an online mode that was a broken mess and required every member of your team to do exactly what they are supposed to for your team to win, which just led to everyone just running around doing what the f*** they wanted, which just became incredibly frustrating. I had it for a day, and I took it back. Dead Island. Dead Island will always be remembered for its incredibly cinematic and shocking trailer that basically had nothing to do with the game. Why the game is largely forgotten, however, is just for how boring and lifeless it actually was. Explore a soulless open landscape, collect this, collect that, hit a few zombies, break weapon, get new weapon, rinse and repeat till done. I think I made it about 2 hours into this one before moving on.
Did we just become best friends? Yup!
Dead Space 3, one of my favourite franchises of all time, didn't go out with a bang, but a whimper. And it's all thanks to Electronic Arts' money-hungry meddling, the addition of microtransactions, forced co-op, and an emphasis on action over scares, transformed what made the first Dead Space games such a monstrous treat into a twisted mess of ideas. The game as a whole isn't actually that bad, and does a good job of wrapping up Isaac Clarke's journey, and even if it does make the game far too easy, the crafting system does let you create some stupidly fun and devastating brutal weapons, but on the whole this just isn't the Dead Space we wanted, or at least I wanted anyway.
You're my boy, Blue!
Def Jam Icon. Def Jam Icon is iconic for not only stripping everything fun out of the previous 2 games and leaving us with nothing, but also for the fact it was so piss poor it killed the entire franchise. No 4-player scraps, no wrestling inspired combat, and an overly serious tone. That was such a contrast to the previous games. I can't believe what they did to my boy.
Look how they massacred my boy.
This was soul crushingly disappointing in just about every way possible.
I don't really want to get drunk.
You can get a little drunk.
Okay, I'll have one.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Incredible Hulk. Incredible Hulk Ultimate Destruction is incredibly good, and is probably the best Hulk game to ever grace consoles. One game that tried to replicate the formula, but add a more gritty aesthetic to match the blockbuster movie, was Sega's The Incredible Hulk. This was a no-brainer purchase for me, but yet it just ended up being ultimately disappointing. It controlled awfully, looked ugly, and just wasn't all that much fun to play, which is the biggest crime here. Being the Hulk, a beast with immense destructive capabilities, and making him feel like a weak floaty mess, is just why this game makes this list. Moving on. The first Saints Row was touted as a true rival to Grand Theft Auto. Yet it was anything but. It wasn't a bad game and had a pretty good story, but I just never found myself getting invested into it. I was so hyped to have a next-gen GTA game, but for me at least, this just wasn't it. Maybe it was my age, but the game was stupidly hard, and every mission or activity just felt like an absolute chore.
Go to the Winchester, have a nice cold pint, and wait for all this to blow over.
Perfect Dark Zero. Microsoft's purchase of Rare was one of the main reasons I jumped onto the Xbox bandwagon, but somehow the once great company lost all of its magic in doing so, and this was never so apparent than with Perfect Dark. A game so vastly different and so unapologetically bland, it's hard to believe it was made by the same team. I brought it, got bored, and moved on pretty quick.
Danger zone.
Once upon a time, I hated FIFA. I enjoyed football games like Sensible Soccer, Super Mario Strikers, and even Sega Soccer Slam. But when it came to FIFA, I never understood the hype. But again, anytime I would throw a house party that involved getting my mates on the old Xbox 360, my good friend and co-host of the channel would always bring around FIFA and wipe the floor with anyone that even dared to pick up a controller. Me, being the incredibly sad and petty person I am, said enough is enough and took a few days off from work to get good. And get good I did. Chris came round, and for the first time in my life, I won a game of the old virtual footy ball, and from then I was hooked. So immediately I went out and picked up the next iteration of the game, and that was number 13. A game for me that perfectly captured the beautiful game, but still had enough arcade-like DNA to be an immensely fun experience. Speed meant something, and defending was not too complex. However, since the godlike 13 came and went, I just haven't enjoyed the series as much. The push for realism just made the game more frustrating than fun for me. Or maybe I just suck. I don't know.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.
And here it is, the biggest gaming disappointment I have ever experienced. A game so deceitfully advertised, I stopped pre-ordering games altogether. Aliens Colonial Marines is a travesty filled with bugs, and not the good kind, laughable graphics, and an entirely pointless story. It played like looked like and is just a big old steaming pile of The trailer and marketing for this game was just a bold-faced lie, and Gearbox Software should be ashamed. If you couldn't tell, this game hurt me. Like, really hurt me. So much so, I actually fell out of love for gaming for a while because of it. Oh well, I guess Alien Isolation was alright. And at least, if anything, this game gave us this one piece of comedy gold.
Baby, hello, my honey. Hello, my ragtime gal.
And that's it. That's my list. And the end of the video. Don't forget to support your bearded, beer-chugging bro by leaving this video a big old like. And also, don't forget to let us know the games that broke your pixelated hearts down below. Until next time, you guys stay tipsy.